Hello YouTube, this is Hunter Surge, and today we have yet more Elestrals Moonrise reveals. We did not go into another non-lunar element. We are talking about lunar stuff again. We're going to be talking about a few cards that we basically already knew, or did completely know. We do have some Shattered Stars news in here as well, so let's get into it. And we have one really exciting card in here, an Omni Rune, which every indication is that these are going to be very rare going forward. And my personal ideal is for Omni Runes, you make them support for specific deck types so that it still makes sense for them to be Omni Runes because there is already a deck building concession being made to be able to run the card. And that is the sort of Omni Rune that we're going to be seeing today, which very, very cool. The exact sort of thing we should be seeing from the Omni Runes. It's the exact sort of thing that Argo was. But honestly, probably way better than Argo. So starting off with Shattered Star stuff, the constellation Toxion still looks really beautiful, but we have some new alt arts. We have a Galvenom. This reprint is really appreciated. This card has only been printed in the starter deck. It hasn't seen any play, and honestly, it probably never will because its defense is just so bad. But it's still nice to see a reprint, so that's accessible somewhere that isn't just the starter deck. And this alt art is pretty nice. I do like this alt art. And then we have a Mosby art of Larva Cell. So it does seem that this Scorpio Shattered Stars is still themed around an element. So we're very much theming around Thunder. This Larva Cell looks pretty good. The Mosby arts pretty much always look really good. But Larva Cell isn't a very good card, so it's whatever, man. But let's move into the Moonrise stuff. Okay, so first up we have Artemis. We saw this art for Artemis the other day. Yeah, this art looks really, really nice. And Artemis, as we've known, he's also going to have a whole rare print in the set, so it is going to be accessible outside the starter decks, which is trying to restart seeing with Apollo, and it's very good to see it continued. When you cast this Artemis, you can enchant up to 3 Lunar to it, disenchant a Lunar from it in order to target an opponent's face-up card and suppress it until the opponent's next end phase. Decent enough effect, very useful in certain specific scenarios, like turning off your opponent's Zeuses and Demeters. And is this turning off Divine Runes that your opponent is going to get value from every single turn is a really nice thing about this card. Turning off Stadium Runes is also very nice. There are some target Elestral applications, of course, with Galaxy and stuff like that. Pretty decent card, but not a universally applicable card. That's why it really needed stuff like Theraheart and Posthumous to really bring it all together. But it does have those cards, so the Artemis-based decks are probably going to be very powerful thanks to those payoffs. Then we have the Artifact Rune for Artemis. This is the Bow of Artemis. It is once again a bow, similar to what we got with Solar. This one's interesting. So this is a 1 Lunar Artifact. So only 1 cost for an artifact is always something we want to see. A lot of artifacts are just too expensive to cost. So only 1 is a lot more reasonable. The Empowered Elestral deals piercing damage. That is really strong. Piercing is really powerful in the correct context, in Ascension decks or in other specific types of combo decks. For example, I'm thinking of this in Blazer's OTK. Blazer's OTK currently likes to use Bow of Apollo so that they can just go in for face damage after they do their Exalter nonsense. But you can't trigger Blazer's Special Ascend by attacking directly. However, attacking into your opponent's guys and dealing piercing damage, you can deal damage that way. So this enables, on a searchable tool, because you're in Fire and have Hephaestus, for Blazer's OTK to go, okay, I'm going to deal damage while piercing over your guys, and then once I pierce over 2 of your guys, I'm going to Special Ascend. Which is pretty cool. Its secondary effect is not even worth noting. I'm going to be perfectly honest. It's when the Empowered Elestral declares an attack, you can Nexus a Lunar from your Artemis to the Empowered Elestral. That's okay, but the only receiver we have right now is Nobby, which that's like that has like it doesn't flow too well with the piercing part of the card because Navi only adjusts the attack, so that that Nexus is not going to help it get over like a defense position 4 or 5. But very important. Where is it? Yes. So here, Dan shows very blurred, much more blurred than we saw with Blitztrix and Co. So I cannot read it in any capacity. Very good. But we see over here, he is talking at this moment in the video about cards that benefit from receiving. So we can probably assume this card next to Nabi is another receiver, which is very good to hear, because Nabi is like a decent receiver, but like it's not like a generally applicable enough receiver. So it would be very nice to get another receiver. And like while this is blurred very well, it does seem that there is only one cost symbol in the middle there. So it does look like this will be a 1 cost Elestral. So that's very good to see. We'll just have to see what that'll end up being. Moving on from that, we have Temple of the Moon. This is your standard Stadium rune. +1/+1 to your Elestrals for each lunar enchanting them. Very simple. For all Elestrals on the field, not just yours. It's just the standard Stadium rune. We know what these do. Then lastly, we have our Omni Rune. This card's super cool. So this is Divine Healing. It is an Invoke Rune, 1 cost. Enchant up to 3 spirits of any type from your underworld to a Divine Rune on your field. This card is super cool. Like, I think this is going to be like... It's not like a card that you will like... It's not the type of card that's like, okay, I will prioritize this over other staples. But it's a sort of card that, like, if you have open slots in your deck, this is the sort of card that you will want to be putting in. It's just very, very powerful. Like, its cost isn't even real because, like, you have a Divine Rune on the field, which means you can always just go, okay, I will pay off my Divine Rune. Even if that's the last spirit on it, we then enchant up to 3 spirits from our underworld onto the Divine Rune. And then before the chain is ended, the Divine Rune has spirits on it again, so it doesn't leave the field. Very important, very good. This is just really good. This is just like a pseudo Ambrosia for Divine Rune decks, which is a very huge buff for those sorts of decks to get. Particularly, I think this will be very powerful in Artemis-based decks, because one of the problems that Theraheart and Posthumous are going to run into is they only get to resolve so many times, and this will let you resolve them more times. Cows might appreciate this too, to get more pops off of Apollo. Thunder will probably really appreciate this. Yeah, Thunder will probably really appreciate this. Aeolus will also really like it because they burn through their Divine Rune a lot faster. And basically like any Divine Rune deck, any of these Nexus strategies that has the spots open in their list to be able to run a card like this, should probably be running this, because it is ultimately like it's a bit more limited of Ambrosia, but it is still an Ambrosia. And like you don't even need to use it to heal. You can heal back to re-enable your Divine Rune after you've burned through it. You can also just use it to make your Divine Rune less expensive. Like you play out your Divine Rune for 1, and then you use Divine Healing to get 3 on it instead. That's also a mode that you can use this card in, which is also very, very strong. Yeah, this is just a really incredible card. Really, really good. I don't see any universe in which this does not make the cut in some Divine decks. Like I think it's really just going to come down to whether your Divine deck is a deck that has the space already to run something like this. Because I don't think it is something that you are going to prioritize over other things, because it is ultimately more limited than Ambrosia. So it is not quite as good. And you cannot get you out of sticky situations in the late game, because using Divine Healing is not going to get you back to being able to cast Elestrals. because you cannot cast Elestrals off of spirits already on the field. But it is still like very, very powerful, very strong card. Very impressed by this card. Yeah, very, very good stuff. Yeah, and that's going to be it for today. That is the last of these reveals. Very interesting card. I wonder if we're going to bounce back between Lunar and other elements going forward. That wouldn't be too bad. But yeah, we need to get these reveals out of the way. I'm glad they saved Divine Healing for this, because it's like, oh yeah, half the reveals here are like things that we ultimately already knew. So like saving a big Omni rune drop for this is like really cool. This card's crazy. This card's so good. All right, I'll see you guys later. This is Hunter Surge signing off.